viable candidate. The most viable candidate, the toughest, the strongest. You need to jump out there, man, and jump out there and cut them off at the path. You see? And every time they jump up there, what are your credentials? What have you done? What is your potential? You see? And so another word or two about that, Omar, and let's go to the Biden administration.
You're going to also have some candidates, black candidates, sorry to say, who will be paid to run.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Knowing they're not going to win.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
But it'll water down the vote so that the strong candidate that we need to have in that position won't win because he won't get enough votes. The votes will be split too many different directions. So let's see how we come up this cycle with this political election campaign. Because we on the Love Power Show will be monitoring and we will be approaching candidates about the viability of them staying in the race and the possibility that they get not the race. Because really you don't need that anymore. That needs to end.
Yes.
This is 2021. This is a whole new century. We need to be doing something that's going to help us, not something that's going to help the people who don't care about you.
Right. Look at the community, Omar. Dan, Isaac, look at South Memphis, man. Look at North Memphis. And you're right. And look, let's say this too, Omar, then we can go to something else unless you have something else to say. You have black candidates, Omar, black elected officials who are not qualified. They got in there some kind of way. And the question is, what are you doing for black people? Now I'll tell you what you're doing. You are allowing the wealth, the riches, to slip from the community into the hands of the interlopers. That's what you're doing. And you're sitting up there and not saying anything and not doing anything about it.
You know, when you attend a high school or college, even in a job, periodically you have a review to see how well you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
College, they call it, they get your grades at the end of each semester.
Mm-hmm.
And then they want to see how well you're doing, and then sit down and with your guidance counselor, maybe they can help you do better.
Mm-hmm.
Political arena needs to be the same way. Every year, we need to sit down and see how well you're doing. You made a promise to do A, B, C, and D, and you ain't done none of it.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna give you one more year, and if you still ain't doing it with our help, then we may have to recall you.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't recall what you told us. So we gonna recall you, so you can't recall nothing.
Right.
You got the recall to be on us.
That's right. That's right.
So every year we need to sit down and look at your record versus your campaign promises and see if you're fulfilling your campaign promises. And if you're not, don't worry with it. We got somebody that can just move in and take over, and you can go back home and sit on the sofa and watch the football game.
Right.
You're too busy anyway. Don't worry.
So, what are they doing in these meetings, Omar, on these committees? We're talking about black people now, aren't we?
Yes.
Okay. So, give us an imaginary look at what you think is taking place in these meetings.
A lot of these meetings, people are being bought out. That's what I've seen in politics.
Mm-hmm.
You have something that's going to be good for the majority of the people, especially our people, and then somebody with money comes to you, makes a proposal that if you vote against that, then we'll give you this, and then, or either it dies in committee.
Yeah.
It never gets out the committee.
Right, dead on arrival.
Yes. So even though it's a good idea and it needs to be, put into effect, then it never gets there because somebody paid, somebody in the committee said, just leave it there, just let it stay. It's good, but don't let it get out because it'll advantage certain people and disadvantage us.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to make sure the seat of power stays with us, even though we're the minority.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, a lot of that goes on.
Yeah, so we cannot stress, Omar, enough this cliche, follow the money. If we follow the money, doing some research and investigation, we'll see, like you said, where a lot of that's going and taking place, going on down there.
Look at the higher seats of power. Many of these people who go to Congress, when they leave Congress, they become lobbyists.
Yes.
Somebody hired them.
Yes.
But while they were in Congress representing you,
yes.
lobbyists came to them
yes.
and gave them money to vote for A, B, C, or D,
yes.
or vote against A, B, C, or D. They got paid. You paid them with your tax dollars, but they got paid a whole different way by a lobbyist. Mm-hmm. And because the lobbyist money was greater than your money, then they work for the lobbyist even though they're supposed to be working for you. Mm-hmm. And that's why I said they should pass a law that you can't be a lobbyist once you leave office. Get 20 years later, you can be a lobbyist then. But nowhere in the next 20 years after you leave office, you cannot be a lobbyist for 20 years. 2 decades need to go by. And then you can be a lobbyist if you so choose. But they're going to outlaw you being a lobbyist after you leave that position because you already been tainted by the lobbyists that came in while you were in the position, and now you're going to become a tainter of the one that takes your position.
You know, I know we said we were going to go to next topic, but you sparked some more thought in my brain. That is, many people run for office, especially on the local level, just to get in there and make money, and they are broke when they get in there, and when they leave, they're worth millions.
Look at the Clintons.
Yeah.
They claim they were broke when they left office. Mm-hmm. But 10 years later, they were worth $108 million. How do you make $108 million? Mm-hmm. 10 years after you leave office, you was only paid $500,000 when you was in the presidency.
Coming out of Little Rock, Arkansas.
You had an oil well in your backyard you didn't know about?
Yeah, man, something like that. But yeah, it's now 25 to 11, and give us a call right here at 901-452-3094. You may call us at 901-324-7490. And yes, Dan Isaac said, Omar had to step away for a minute. Isaac said that we can not expect anything from the Biden administration. Black people.
I don't know.
Now, that's a stretch. Well, you're being honest. You said you don't know.
Well, maybe.
That's being honest.
Well, maybe. I don't know. If you look at what he's doing and how he's going, I don't know what to really expect. Is it a plus for blacks or it is a minus for blacks? I don't know. But we got a phone caller, though.
Oh, we do?
Yeah, someone you ain't heard from in a while.
Okay.
Kazi.
Go ahead, Kazi.
Yeah, good morning, my brothers and my sisters. Kazi Chumbo, Sand Shub, English. Kazi, thanks for service, and Chumbo, Chombo, is a sea-going vessel, a ship.
Yes.
I think it's great that you are talking about the upcoming election for the mayor of the city of Memphis. I wonder if I might say that the process of finding a candidate for mayor might be similar to what happened with the community convention some time ago with Mayor Harrington. Mayor Harrington and I are about the same age. I'm in the process of retiring and turning my business into a cooperative. But that's another story, and I'll be advertising about that. But what I wanted to say is the concept of a community convention to look at candidates' possibility for mayor in the upcoming election. I don't know, and I have to say here, I don't know what that date would be, but I believe that would be enough time to hold what they are called in this type of situation a plebiscite or a community convention. And I wonder what you all think about that.
Okay.
The process for getting nominations.
Sure, that's a good question, and we'll see if we have enough time to get into it. But let us ask you this, Brother Kazi. What can black people expect from the Biden administration? Should I qualify my question, or you got it?
I think you had, or I believe you might have had recently, Dr. I'm trying to think of his name right now. He's had pretty much done a good analysis, and I'll think of his name in a second, a good analysis of the Biden's presidency, and as a trying to think of the word here, as a group of women, African Americans, Hispanics, other groups that had coalesced and formed a coalition to bring together the Democrat President Biden. And I think it's great. It is a good process that took place. However, we're far along than that on the local level when it comes to what our issues are. It's going to be a similar coalition, but it's going to be a local coalition of new Africans, Americans, with new generations of African Americans, which I'm leaving my business to.
Okay.
And I'm trying to see if we can duplicate that process of President Biden coming to power under the obvious situation of a President Trump who is not qualified, and he has mental situations with himself, and it's clear in that debate between Biden and recently and Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, he is a person who's mentally ill, and I can say this as a person that's working, which I've done. When I first came to Memphis, I was not only a supervisor for family service of Memphis on Jefferson, I also became on the faculty with Lemoyne On, and also on the faculty with University of Tennessee Department of Psychiatry, according to Dunlap. My background comes from the mental health area, and I don't go into that because basically I'm talking business right now. How can we do practicing nationalism?
Okay, Kazi, we thank you for your call. We are going to address your question in terms of what we think about your transferring of your business and retiring. But I'll tell you, Omar is back with us. We were into the question of what can we expect from the Biden administration, and Kazi was giving his thoughts on that. But here's what I think. Not so much what we can expect or should expect, but I think that as a group, as a people, Omar, you mentioned committee, that we should look toward what we can do in terms of being politically savvy, Omar, and that is not just sit around and complain and talk about he ain't, she ain't, and da-da-da and all of that, proactively. You know, people say he didn't do nothing for black people. Well, what did you ask for?
Yes.
How many committees did you put together?
Yes.
How many petitions did you send in?
Yes.
How many letters did you write?
Yes.
How many groups did you put together to
Yes,
bring
yes, yes.
pressure to bear
Yes.
on whoever, like Ice Cube said, whoever is in power.
Yes.
I don't care who's in power. We've got a kite coming your way. And then Omar will follow up with action and strength. There's strength in numbers, Omar. Go ahead, sir.
You know, anytime you can splinter a group into tribes, then you can take advantage of them. That's how this country became the United States of America, because the Native Americans were splintered into Cherokee and Chickasaw and all these other tribes, and then they were put to fight against each other. But the white folks were Irish and British and German and whatever else they were together. They didn't care nothing about their religion, their country of origin, culture, none of it. The thing that drew them all together was they was all white, and they wanted this land for themselves. So they stayed together inside of that and put that tribalism to the side.
Yes.
Now, when I talked to my cousin Dan, who's operating the cameras, he talks about Memphis being a majority black city, but with a white mayor. Couldn't get nobody black in the seat of power. So they had to go past the tribalism. And when they put the conference together, they had to get people to agree that we're not going to have tribes anymore. You're going to run, and we're first going to come to a convention. And then we're going to decide who's the most viable candidate. And if you don't win, then your tribe going to vote for the candidate that did win. So you're going to get rid of the tribe, and we're going to come together as one and put that person in the seat of power. And that's the first time we had a black mayor in the seat of power in a black city called Memphis, Tennessee. But now the tribe has come back. Tribalism is all over the place. We got to go back to that day, because that's how you take power, willpower, and make the power work for the people that needs it the most. And if we don't do it that way, we're going to go back to the same Kool-Aid we were drinking when Mayor Hackett was in office.
Right.
Yes.
And we don't want to go back there.
Right. And not only that, oftentimes we get locked in a place, in a space, Omar. We say now we've got a black mayor, that's it. We don't have any more work to do. But yes, we do have more work to do.
Yes.
The work is just beginning.
It's
Yes.
just beginning, because your
Double work.
ass must be accountable.
You can't go curl up on the couch.
Yeah.
Just because you went to the polls and voted. That don't work like that.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to talk badly about black elected officials, because sometimes they are unjustly incarcerated or have the wrong thing put on them. But there are a number of them who are incarcerated for stealing money, hiding money here and there. And we can't have that.
Playing the game.
Is that right? We can't have that.
Absolutely can't have it.
You know, and so that's why I say we have much more work to do other than just saying let's get a black candidate. That black candidate
Yes.
must be viable, capable, and qualified, and live up to that resume. I'm going to say resume, Omar.
Yes.
Now, what do you say, Omar, that black people as a group can expect from the Biden administration? And not only that, how should we, as a politically, I'll say it, savvy group, approach this administration?
What we need to do as a black group is put demands on the president. He claimed that we had his back. And had it not been for black people coming together en masse to vote for him, he wouldn't be in the position that he's in the seat of power in this country.
Yes.
So if that be the case, then we need to have a black committee in every state in the country. They need to come together and put some demands on the table and say, because you are in the seat of power, then here are the things that we must have from you while you're in this seat of power, because there's no telling what may happen in the next 4 years. We still got those white supremacy groups who have a notch on their gun. They try to put another one there with you as the notch. They intend to take you out. I mean, that's what the FBI keeps saying. So while you're in power, and we're going to make sure none of us going to be doing that mess. But while you're in the seat of power, let's do these things, because you did things for corporations. They are much richer now than they were in the last 4 years. They're richer because of the last 4 years of what the last president did for them. And they already, praising the last president because he put money in their pocket.
Yes.
He didn't take it out, he put it in there. And so now...
Vis-a-vis tax cuts. Go ahead, Omar.
So now, the 8 richest people in the world, have more money than the bottom 2 to 3 billion people on earth. Those 8 rich people.
Yes.
And the man who's in charge of Amazon is one of those people who got all kinds of tax advantages. And some of these corporations pay no taxes. They pay zero taxes. And you paying taxes every time you look around. So let's look at what you can do for us. There are a lot of things you can do in terms of our tax dollars. Right now they're talking about, forgiving student loans. Forgive the student loans. Okay, then why don't we take some of the money from the military budget, which right now takes half of every dollar we spend on taxes, over half. Because we have a military that's bigger than the next 7 countries put together. If you take France, Germany, Britain, China, all of them put together, we spend more money on our military than all of them put together. So over 50 cents out of every dollar goes to the military. Why don't you take 10% of that budget and then go and get those student loans and work with those student loans to either forgive all of it, part of it, half of it, most of it. Because our education system ranks around 16th in the world, but we spend more money than anybody on earth, out of the student pockets, of course, for an education that does not work. Same thing with health care. We don't spend hardly anything on health care. We spend all our money on the military, trying to kill folks, capture folks, steal from folks, murder folks. That's what we spend money on. Let's go back and take some of that military budget and spend it on health care so we can stop the decline in health situation we got in our own country. There's no reason America should have 500,000 people dying from COVID. When we supposed to have we have this kind of health care system that we do have. Let's fix it. But the money is being drained by the military budget. And President Dwight Eisenhower talked about this military-industrial complex and how it's going to rise up and siphon off the money and bite the people at the bottom. And what he said then is true now.
It's true today.
We got to fix it, though.
Yes. Now, you mentioned, Omar, Biden having our backs, black people. Let's take a brief look at that, because that made me think about Jim Clyburn and the debates leading up to that discussion, that conversation. Biden, he was up there one day, man, his eye had turned red, and he was, look, I'm not trying to talk badly about the guy, but the guy was struggling, Dan, and so he was low on the totem pole. And so Clyburn, he said it himself. You brought me back, man.
Yeah, that's what he said.
And so, and not just that, he said that black people got my back, Biden, and I'll have your back.
Yes,
So
he did.
even if he hadn't said that, Dan, in terms of our constitutional rights,
Yeah.
and paying attention to politics, because that's where policy is made, we still should raise that question.
Absolutely.
Doesn't matter that it's Biden. It doesn't matter that it's Trump. You're the head of the country.
Yes.
You're the head of the military. You're the head of all the money. You see? And so, having your back thing, we got your back thing. So, Omar, that's the primary reason that we raise that question, because of that. So, I think we can expect something,
We should.
but we get more when we demand something.
Yes,
What's that cliche? Power concedes nothing without a demand?
absolutely.
Yeah.
No
So,
investment, no return.
that's right. And so therefore, we should invest. And by the way, while you're at it, give us a call right here at 901-452-3094. You may give us a call right here at 901-324-7490. And so, Omar, we were talking, and you mentioned Biden and his LBGT Q. Is that correct?
Close enough.
Is that correct?
Close enough.
Agenda, Omar. And so the question is, aren't we all in this group?
No.
Well, I don't mean as in, let me put it this way, black.
Yeah.
Black. I don't mean that way.
LGBT.
Yeah.
No, we ain't,
So-
in that group.
So why separate that out, Omar, and make that a priority? Yes. We've had 2 callers to
We got
ask.
2 callers.
All right, first caller, go ahead.
I might be too early, but I was calling to speak on the COVID vaccine and the coronavirus.
No, you're not too ready. Go right ahead.
So, just to,
Well, I tell you what.
Okay.
This Omar. This your
Okay,
son.
okay, I got
Hey,
it.
Omar, hold on, Omar.
Let me go with the first caller. Hold on one sec. Go ahead, caller.
Oh, hey, hi, good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. I just want to come in and give a quick little story testimony about an individual that I know who took the COVID vaccine.
Yes.
She was 86 years old, perfectly healthy, wasn't even taking any blood pressure medicine, was an Adventist, and her family, which are her daughters and sons, thought that it would be a good idea for her to take the vaccine just for safety precautions. She was against taking the vaccine at first, but of course her children told her to go ahead and take it. This happened about 2 weeks ago. She took a vaccine on a Wednesday, and then on Friday she got hospitalized because she was complaining that she couldn't breathe. They sent her home. She went back Saturday because she couldn't breathe. They took x-rays that it didn't look like she had pneumonia, there's nothing wrong. They sent her home. Sunday came, Monday came. Monday around about, Tuesday morning, about 2 in the morning, she went to the restroom to use it, and she complained about it was still hard for her to breathe. And before her niece could get some help, and they came back to the house, she was passed out dead in the bathroom.
Okay.
So I know a lot of people are going to get this vaccine. I'm not saying what the vaccine costs, but her mom looking at things and perfectly healthy and just taking a new chemical and this happened, I feel that they have something to do with it. I just want to make people aware of it when they're getting ready to think about taking these new vaccines. Of course, that's not for all. We do have to consider her age as well, but I did want to just get that out there.
I think that's a valid
Yes,
concern,
yes,
Omar.
yes,
And
yes.
hey, thank you for calling in, young lady.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And I think we should continue to, Dan, examine this vaccine and all of this kind of stuff.
Yes.
Not because the black doctor the other day, I think it was yesterday, is not just the Tuskegee experiment. It is a host and a number of governmental suspicious programs where black people have died fooling around with these guys.
Yes.
And so therefore it merits continued examination and concern, particularly where our loved ones are concerned.
Yes.
Omar, go ahead.
Now, my son was on hold, so I was trying to,
He's on the line now.
yeah.
He's on live. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Omar.
yeah, so I'm still there. I wanted to first mention the vaccine development had nothing to do with the government, besides the government providing funding to the biotech pharmaceutical companies in order for them to produce and develop a vaccine. So that's the extent of primarily of the government's involvement for the vaccines that have been approved thus far, which are 3, and from 3 different companies. And so the way these vaccines are made is they take the protein that the body recognizes from the actual coronavirus, and they put that in some form in your body to make itself, so that the body can recognize what the virus looks like without the actual virus being harmful to your body. So it's the protein that it can recognize without the rest of the dangerous parts of the virus, so it can continue to live in your body. So when you do come in contact with the virus, your body is already trained and programmed to defend itself against the coronavirus. But like any therapeutic or any drug, you will have people, they may have adverse reactions with events. So this can be allergic reaction, the same way you can have somebody go into allergic reaction from a peanut or something else, even death. So there's been some reported deaths of 63 million doses of vaccines that have been administered so far. There are about 1,000 deaths. So there is a risk associated with it, but that's normal for any type of therapeutic or drug you're going to take. So if you're going to take an aspirin, there's a risk of you having some event with an aspirin. If you're going to take Tylenol, there's risk of death. But all drugs have inherent risks because you literally are putting something foreign inside your body in order to help you out in the short term. So the myth that, the vaccine isn't safe or, there of course going to be those cases where people die and those get really highlighted. But then I don't think that should scare people into not getting the vaccine. It should just make you aware and cautious that if you decide to get the vaccine, there's a risk that you need to be aware of.
Well, let me ask
The
you,
best line of defense for COVID or for the coronavirus is a healthy immune system. That's the best line of defense for any virus. The flu, the cold, pneumonia, anything is you keeping your body healthy. You getting COVID and surviving is better than the vaccine. In fact, it's almost just like getting vaccinated.
say that again?
People who get COVID already and have survived and are still, good and they tested negative afterwards,
Yes.
they have the same protection against future infection as people who are getting vaccinated.
Okay.
So they got COVID and fought it off.
Go ahead, Omar.
No, I'm just trying to. They got the COVID They got the COVID itself, and then they fought off the COVID without getting the vaccine. So now their body is wet ready for the next episode in case it comes.
Right. In fact, there will be no next episode. The body will just automatically defend itself anytime it recognizes that protein from coronavirus. So that's the same way the vaccine works, except in this case, they just put the protein and not the virus.
Okay. So do you recommend African Americans taking the vaccine, getting the vaccine?
I recommend people who are in a high risk group getting the vaccine. It's like, okay, either you gotta get COVID and you have a high risk of dying, or you can get a vaccine where there's a low risk of death, but you're a high risk of being protected from COVID, which can cause you to die.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no race component when it comes to the vaccine. Many African Americans have already been vaccinated. Many whites, Asians, the whole globe is getting vaccinated. It's not a United States problem. It's a global problem. People in China are getting vaccinated. People in Europe getting vaccinated. Africa, it's literally a global vaccination.
You know what?
Everybody has different types of vaccines, but it's the same concept.
Got it. Now, what interests me, what puzzles me rather, is there doesn't seem to be any knowledge of the origin of this virus.
Many of these coronavirus do live in bats. Bats spread viruses, a lot of viruses, but not all the viruses that are spread from bats can go to humans. There's only a few that can go from an animal to a human. Even your dog or cat, the viruses that they get, infections that they get, is not likely to spread to a human.
Okay, so you're saying animals or cats and dogs in particular won't necessarily spread the virus. Is that what I hear you saying?
It's not common for animals to spread virus to humans, but it does happen.
Okay. Now, in which case does it happen? What are some of the cases?
The coronaviruses, they come from animals. There's more than one coronavirus.
Right.
This is just one, right? So you have the SARS, you have MERS. So these type of viruses come from animals. It's a whole family of viruses.
Right, and they come from animals.
Right. And the thing is, they have similar genetic makeup. So that's why they put a group of them all in a family. So there may be, small differences between a coronavirus and another type of coronavirus, but they had different impacts.
Are these animals cats and dogs? Or any animal?
No, they're not going to be cats and dogs.
Huh?
They're probably not going to be cats and dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Bats.
Hold on a second, Omar. Dan, what were you saying, Dan?
No, I was agreeing with it.
Okay, go ahead, Dan. Omar, continue.
Well, I said they're probably not going to be a cat or a dog.
Okay.
And there's not much evidence to show that even a cat and a dog can spread the coronavirus
Okay.
to a human or get the coronavirus itself. It's mostly going to just be these bats.
Okay, yeah. I saw the documentary some time ago when this thing first jumped off about bats and the so many thousands or millions, if you will, of species of bats. And so,
Right.
so we're still going back. Well, I like the fact that you used the word evidence. So we're still going back to, for the most part, bats. Is that right?
Right. And
Okay.
the World Health Organization, they are also unclear of how it's spread. But that's where they have the most confidence in the origin, is from the bats. But they don't know whether it was direct or indirect or exactly how it was able to penetrate humans.
Okay. Now, what do you think about the idea that some people are pushing that it's a hoax? This whole idea that the coronavirus is a hoax. What do you think
They
about?
could look at the data and actually
Oh, data.
500,000 people died and counting just in the United States.
Data.
Globally. I don't understand how can you have a hoax, a global hoax? That doesn't make sense to me.
Okay.
Me either.
I don't think United States and Russia would coordinate together to have a hoax. They don't like each other.
Right.
I think Iran would coordinate with the United States to have a hoax. Because they don't like each other.
Right. Go ahead, Omar.
Critical
Your
thinking.
dad wants to say
Yeah,
something.
no, but I look at Donald Trump. I mean, he was, kind of anti-wearing masks, but he got COVID. And it was serious enough for him to be hospitalized and given some kind of antidote or antigen in the hospital. So even though he may say it's a hoax, he didn't take it like it was a hoax, just stay at home, watch TV. He went to the hospital.
Yeah, that was that medicine they gave him. Wasn't that remdesivir?
Remdesivir.
They
Remdesivir.
gave him many different types of medicine, so that was one of them.
Oh, so they gave him many different kinds.
To make sure they got
The
rid of it.
doctors, okay. And that's why he got rid of it so fast?
Yeah, plus the main thing was they monitored his oxygen level. So when they were starting to drop, they gave him more oxygen. So that you have these breathing machines that they talk about.
Mm-hmm.
So the coronavirus itself may not kill you directly, but you lower your oxygen. And that young lady earlier was speaking about how that person couldn't breathe.
Mm-hmm.
And so her oxygen levels were probably getting depleted. And so if she was on the breathing machine, she may have been able to survive just by increasing her oxygen level. So that's what they did for the president. They gave him a bunch of medicine,
Mm-hmm.
and then they made sure, the main thing they did was make sure his oxygen levels were still maintained.
Okay, and now, and it's not just Omar. It's not only black people who are talking this hoax talk. There's
Yeah, I know. I understand.
white people too. So I'm setting that up to say.
People in general don't trust government. So it's easy to say it might be a hoax, but if you ask those same people have they looked at the data, most will say no.
They've not looked at the.
It's basically word of mouth. They don't look at any evidence or data. It may be, the highlight where one person has passed away or has some impact from, the vaccine or the virus itself. But
guarantee you, not many of those people have looked at any evidence.
Well, I will say this, that when I see postings or hear people saying these things, they don't follow up with a plan, or they don't follow up with with any evidence or an investigation or research. So I guess there's a lot of ignorance running around out there in terms of that kind of talking and carrying on. I think many people have their suspicions, and they have their weird stuff in their head, and they just come out and say it, and that's not helping the community at all.
Right. I mean, it's fair to have your suspicions, but you know, I feel like it needs to be based on evidence.
Sure, absolutely. Well, I spoke with Judge Joe Brown earlier, and we were talking about it. He's supposed to be calling in shortly to give us his take on the virus. And he's someone I tend to respect his ideas for the most part up to a point. I don't agree with everything he says, but some of the things that he says I agree with and pay close attention to. So this thing is all about paying attention. And it's all about, like you said, looking at the data.
Right.
You see, and so forth and so on.
I mean, another thing you could think about is, you know, there's an epidemic with painkillers, opioids, right? They are designed to help you ease the pain, but if you take too much for too long, they can kill you, so you can become addicted.
They can.
Right? So it's a similar concept, right? Is that you have to use it appropriately, and even if you do, there's still a chance that something bad can happen.
Yes.
In this case, it's a vaccine. In another case, it might just be a medicine you have to take on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, what you've said makes good sense. It's logical, and as you've said, based on evidence and data. Yes,
Right.
so, Omar, we've got your son on the phone.
Hey, I give him praise.
Yeah.
He know what he's talking about.
Yes. All right. So, hey, Omar, thank you for calling in. We're going
Thank
to.
you for having me. Thank you for hosting.
Any final or closing thoughts before we continue?
Yeah, I just encourage people to look into the evidence themselves instead of just blindly listening to people. Look it up. A Google search is very simple to do.
Yeah.
The information is out there. It's available.
Well, what do you think about I think Biden has been in office, 39 days or something like that. What do you think about his administration thus far? And you as a doctor, what should, let me narrow it down, people in your field look for or expect from the Biden administration?
Well, in my field, they're probably going to be looking at regulation of drug prices. So I think the Democrats, they really want to bring down the price of drugs because they feel like they've gotten out of control. And so that's probably one piece of legislation that this administration will probably bring about that affects my field or industry. Of course, COVID is the primary goal of this administration right now is to get everybody, or as many people as they can, vaccinated and bring down the numbers. Also, the stimulus package that they're trying to pass is another thing. So there's a whole host of legislation and bills that they want to pass, especially to undo the previous administration. So I think overall the Biden administration will probably put the United States on a better path than what we experienced the previous 4 years.
All right. Well, we thank you for calling in and weighing in and sharing with us your evidence and data as we go forward. and continue
Thank you so
to.
much.
Thank you, man, thank you.
Mhm. Yeah, so what do you think, Omar?
Hey, that's deep.
Mm-hmm.
And he's right. We got to look at the data, look at the facts.
Yes.
And when you look at that, then you realize that, you know, these things, it's not a hoax. And there's always risk with a vaccinate, always. But the big thing he said, the key thing he said was stay healthy, eat healthy, stay, you know, take care of yourself. You only have one self, and when you damage it and, you know, destroy it, then anything can attack you. You can get the flu and die.
Yes.
Yeah, if you're weak,
Yeah.
absolutely. Keep yourself healthy and strong.
But 1 in a million, like the lady that Shalandra was talking about earlier, she was healthy, but that 1 in a million time when that vaccine, you know, is in the body and it has a negative effect. But for the most part, most of the people that get the vaccine are going on a better path. I didn't take